What's up, everybody? True Evil here, and today I want to discuss something that a lot of people are talking about online, which is Inferno mode too difficult? And if you look at the general consensus online, it does seem that a lot of people think it's too overtuned, too difficult, and I actually think it's just right. And we need to take a step back and really look at what's going on. We aren't even 3 weeks into Etheria Restart, and we're expecting to be able to clear every single bit of content in the game. And I said right off the get-go when I was making my first videos for this game that it will be a marathon. It will not be a sprint. And a lot of people are treating it like a sprint. And, you're treating a marathon race like a sprint and expecting a sprint result. And what I mean by that is Inferno Doki Doki here. This is really tripping a bunch of people up. And I think it's the easiest Inferno mode in the game. Pretty easy. And you just need to know what the fight really needs. For example, with Kazio. Kazio is pretty much required for this fight. Everyone gets her because there's a selector at level 10. And a lot of people aren't really latticing her up. They max the skill 3 out, sure, but they don't max the other skills up. Now, I don't have a fully latticed Kazio. I don't even have it halfway there. But I did think about, after my first Inferno run, I clicked it, see where my account was right at 50 when I unlocked it, and was like, what do I need? And I was thinking, what do I do to make the fight a 100% win rate while I was watching? And the first thing I noticed was my Kazio on her skill 1, they were resisting every time. Kazio just did not proc slumber, and I was like, I wonder what that is. And that is because the initial chance of it is 20%, which is because she has such high effect accuracy. It's 40%, and I knew that I needed to buff the juice up, so I got it to level 3, and now she has an above 50% chance of landing the skill 1 slumber, which in a situation like Inferno where you need to proc it at least once every 2 turns to be able to succeed, I would rather have a over 50% odds than a below 50% odds, because if I'm playing below 50% odds, I'm probably not going to win the fight every time. So we need to invest in our characters that way. Yeah, sure, there is a bare minimum, optimal way to invest in characters, right? Like Valerian, people are like, all you do is to invest in her skill 3 all the way, and that's it. Well, I put 1 lattice into her skill 2 for the extra defense, and I think that's really helpful, right? Because even though she's a giant damage sponge, if she takes less damage, that means when she does proc the Hazy Dream skill 3, that's more HP that'll be distributed to my units, so pretty much more heals. So you gotta think of your lattices like that. What do I need to win the fight? And it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. And it does make sense because the game isn't 3 weeks out, that we have all the lattices we need for all the characters. And because of that, there might be Inferno modes that you can't do. For example, if you need Viper to clear any content for these Inferno modes, which he's really helpful for certain things like Aurora and Nico Nana, maybe if you do need him and he doesn't have lattices, he's probably not going to be that great. He's a character that really needs max skill 3 and max skill 2 and a whole lot of skill 1 to be a really strong unit. And before then, he doesn't feel like the juice. But of course, when he does get that juice, it's going to feel really nice. The problem with stuff like that, though, is, well, the game hasn't been out for 3 weeks. We haven't gotten the lattices to clear everything. So we really need to step back and realize this game is a huge marathon that has a lot of different aspects to it, and we need to develop certain SR characters to really be able to beat this in-game. And, if we don't have those pieces, yeah, it's going to be hard. For example, Nico Nana. A lot of people are struggling with Inferno Nico Nana, and they're like, oh, this fight's impossible. Well, they're not looking at the mechanic of the fight, right? Which is, if you have more speed than Nico Nana, you do more damage. And you're going in and you're using a DPS that doesn't have Swift Rush. Well, Nico Nana's fast, bro. If you don't have speed up and speed down and a lot extra speed on top of that, you know, even if you have your ditting, he's going to pull out the juice and it's not going to be bueno. That's not... Whoa. Don't know why it froze just then. So, like, really step back. Really be like, am I doing the mechanics of the fight? Because I don't think everyone's doing that. And no one's going to have a fully latticed unit. The only fully latticed unit here is the Gray. And honestly, Gray isn't really popping off. You know, I didn't pull Kloss though. So I had to pull with what I had. So we're Gray gaming. And he does get whacked off a lot. He's squishy, bro. And because of that, I have to be like, what did I build wrong? And well, for my Valerian, I don't have 12 Wellspring on her because that doesn't exist in shells in my land. I cannot pull a 12 Wellspring 12 Time Weave piece to save my life. And because of that, my shields are a little weak because I only have 8 Wellspring. It is what it is. And if my shields had about 1,000 more to it because of that 20% extra HP, or maybe it's 25%, I forgot. But the point is, I could build my characters up more. But, you know, I don't, because I think as long as you're building your modules correctly, as long as you're doing the mechanics of the fight, it should be pretty good to go. So really look at your account and be like, what can I do to make it better? Because we're not even a month into the game. We shouldn't be able to clear everything, you know? So really think about that. See you next time.